So my Facebook Marketplace sales have slowed down, and I have shifted focus on making over my room so that I can have a more personalized space to create content in. My room is nowhere near ready yet, but I decided to record from the space anyway, just to kind of get a feel for where I think I'm gonna want to create my nook. And honestly, I really don't, looking around my room, it's very small. I really don't have nook space. But I'm going to try really hard. I've been working on trying to give the room a little bit more personality. Um, I've mentioned before in previous videos that I practice minimalism, um, informally, I would say, but I've been making more of a conscious effort to make my space feel more like home because I think it's one of the things that I've struggled with over the years because I move around a lot. And I want my room to be my creative space. And I know that if you are in a space and you don't particularly feel creative, that you do have the option to always, you can always venture outside, right? Especially now that the weather is starting to get a little bit nicer for us here on the East Coast. I do foresee myself going outside a little bit more, but I've mentioned in previous videos that I am an introvert and a homebody. And even if the weather is nice outside, a lot of the times I just prefer to be at home in the house. So I want to continue to work on my space. And I still have, like I mentioned, my space still isn't ready. Um, really, it's not. I got a long way to go still, but it's coming along. I'm starting, I've just been really focusing on decorating my walls, and there are a couple of DIY type situations, type projects that I'm gonna try to try to test the waters and see if I can fix some of the things around my room. But if that doesn't work out, I will not hesitate to thumbtack or task rabbit somebody. But before I decided to make this a project of mine, my room was very bare. It really was more uh of a extra. I wouldn't say that it was extra space for storing things per se, but I just had the bare minimum in here. I mean, I literally just had like a bed and a dresser and, nothing much else because I don't really spend, I come home, um, I was coming home more frequently, but I just, because I wasn't always here. I just never really bothered with creating, a more comfortable space. I mean, it was comfortable to, sleep and everything, but just I never really put much into making it feel home, like homely, homely, like home. And and I like literally didn't have anything on the walls, like nothing hanging up on the walls besides a calendar. And so I've been working on putting little things here and there up on the walls. That's literally been my focus for the last 2 days. And one thing that I kind of realized is, well, I know this about myself, but just because I'm documenting this journey, is that I really can't put, I'm really not good at multitasking, uh, bigger things, like things that really require a lot of thought. So these last few weeks I have been so focused on, decluttering, and I'm still decluttering, um, but decluttering and selling things, the things that I had been slowly wanting to get rid of, just reselling those things on Facebook Marketplace, and that's like what I've been going hard on, hard with, for the last couple of weeks, and still having in the back of my mind, I need to, work on, get my room together. So some days I'd spend in my room just trying to go through, what I have packed up, things that I can, get rid of. But now that, my sales have kind of slowed down, I'm just kind of shifting gears temporarily before I kind of pick back up with the reselling. The time I'm always mentioning how the time just goes by so fast, and but it's crazy because like I'm actually enjoying the process of trying to figure all this stuff out every day. This time it just feels really different. I think because I'm doing it because I know I'm doing it for a greater purpose, to support my creativity and making content for my YouTube channel, but also the decluttering and just getting rid of a bunch of stuff because I'm ready to start a new life, and start over because that's what I'm essentially doing. And I'll eventually, I'm sure I'll eventually get around to talking about in more depth what I've been going through and what I'm thinking about doing with my life. I've touched on it here and there, but I haven't really done any real deep dives yet, and those are coming. So um, just bear with me, be patient. I'm just trying to make where I am now as comfortable as I can be so that I can really, tell these stories and share my experiences in the best way possible. So just being super intentional about what I'm doing, like I said, it's just so it's I guess the word is like refreshing. Like I feel a sense of purpose and meaning behind what I'm doing. It's not just that I'm just humdrum, oh, let me decorate my room. Like I just really feel like this time it's a bit different. And like I said, I've never really put much effort into and decorating my room because in the grand scheme of the amount of time um that this has been home, I really haven't spent much time in the house in the grand scheme of things. More frequently, once I moved back to the East Coast, I've been coming back home a lot more because I've been closer to home. But this time, actually putting more thought into it and being intentional about what I'm going to keep versus what I'm going to get rid of, what I want to take with me in the next phase of my life. It's just it's a really great, I'm getting a really, good sense of fulfillment, I believe. And I've been missing that for quite some time because even just, having to move, whether it's because I, got a new job, which is really the reason why I moved to begin with, is because I got a job in a different state. So I ended up just moving to that state. And just, it's different from just going through the motions, um, with the move and just going through the motions. Yeah, you gotta get it together, get everything set up. But because I'm a minimalist, I never really got into even that that deep with when it comes to like decorating and stuff. Just making sure that I have the essentials, everything that I need, you know, and that was pretty much it. So I'm enjoying the experience so far. Um, so I made a couple of notes to keep me on track. Um, so far, kind of still being in the middle of, you know, making over my room and stuff. Like I feel pretty good about it. Like I said, I have way more to go and have a few DIY type projects that I want to try to tackle here. So soon, hopefully soon, my space will be, you know, some kind of semblance of what I what I envision, and I don't have the greatest imagination. But I have, some ideas, and I'm hoping that the ideas in my head, when I try to implement them, that it looks similar in real life. In real life, because you know how, like, sometimes you can, like, you think you can envision something, and in your mind it's spectacular, but then when you go to actually do the thing, or when you create the thing in person, it just does not it doesn't look anything like it looked in your head. Yeah, that's what I'm a little bit worried about, because I'm not very creative in that sense with, like, decorating, design, artsy, craftsy type stuff. If as long as it's on the simpler side of things, I usually can go ahead and, do it, but don't let it be too complicated, cuz I ain't about that life. Probably the minimalist in me. I don't want to have to think too hard or put too much manual labor into too much of anything, but I'm open to exploring the DIY type stuff. I can do simple things, but the more complicated stuff, nope. I'm gonna go ahead and get somebody else to to do it for me. Um, so just, reflecting on redesigning my space, and how that, mirrors redesigning my life. I think it's pretty, they're congruent, like they're both hand in hand right now. Um, one is a smaller step towards a bigger picture. And even though ultimately I'm only going to be in this space for or temporarily, I'm not for sure how long I'll be here, but it'll, it's temporarily, you know, um, it's still important, that I, continue to work towards creating a space that feels like home, regardless of how long I'm going to be here, and how that mindset, how I'm going to carry that mindset forward into, whatever the next phase of my life will be. And, you know, and I just think it's important, the how we shape our environment. And that's what I'm trying to do, is just shape my environment to align with what I value, the things that I value the most. And um, I think that it's important in general for us to take a look at our environment, and to see if our environments, reflect the things that we, value the most. Do we have a bunch of stuff that we're not attached to, that we don't need? What is your environment saying about you? You know, is it calm, cool, serene? Is it chaotic? How is that affecting your, quality of life? So these are just some of the things that I think about, in this, throughout this process. Is giving me a lot of opportunity to kind of reflect on the things that I'm doing, um, in this phase of my life. And it's just not having to worry about, you know, um, going, going into work. And I know it probably sounds so, like, I don't even know what the word, like scrubbish or something like that. But man, just being able to take a break from work, like I just never, like it's just always just, I feel so like relieved and just having that relief and allowing my brain to kind of, a different aspect of using a different aspect of my brain power for something more creative. I think it's what I've been, it's something I've been desiring to do for a really long time, and because I haven't been able to exercise that muscle too much, it's I'm coming along, slowly but surely. But I look forward to seeing, what comes into fruition from the work that I'm putting in now and designing the life that I truly want to live. So I'll leave you with that. And that is all I have for you for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And I kind of preemptively posed this question a couple of minutes ago, but let me know in the chat, what does your space currently say, about you? Like, what is there something in your space that you could change, to reflect something that you value? Let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. And thank you again so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.